All right, in this lesson, let's dive into some basic arithmetic operations, some basic mathematical calculations in Ruby. So I'll begin with addition, and in addition, we typically use the plus sign to add two numbers together, and it's the exact same way in Ruby. So if I do something like P1 plus 4, Ruby is going to combine 1 plus 4 to get 5 and output 5 with the P method right here. Now, in programming, this is called an expression. An expression is just an evaluation that involves some kind of operation. In order to perform any kind of operation, we use things called operators, and an operator is just a symbol that does something. So in this case, the plus sign is what's called the addition operator because it's a symbol that tells Ruby to add. So sometimes you may see the word operator used. That basically means just a symbol that does something, and the symbol that you use determines what operation occurs. And an operation will involve some combination of symbols as well as data such as variables or just simply things like numbers or strings. So this is a basic example of addition. Let's take a look at subtraction. Subtraction is done with the minus symbol. So if I do P10 minus 6, and notice that I'm separating the operator and the numbers with a space, and again, that minus sign is just called an operator. Some might call this one the subtraction operator because it subtracts. This is going to predictably give us 4. We can see that output to the right here. All right, multiplication. Multiplication is done with the asterisk symbol. That's the little star that's available on your keyboard when you press Shift 8. So if I want to multiply 3 by 4, I can do P3 asterisk 4. So this is sometimes called the multiplication operator. And 3 times 4 is going to give us 12. We can see it output right here. Now, so far, all of these operations have been dealing with numbers, integers to be exact. But many times, these symbols or operators will work on different data types. For example, remember what happens when we use the plus sign with something like strings. If I do pschool plus bus, what's going to happen in this case is a process called concatenation, where the word on the right side of the operator is going to be added to the word on the left side of the operator. So we're going to get school bus. We can see it output right here. So even though the plus symbol is something that you typically associate with numbers in math, in Ruby, the addition operator can be used also as the concatenation operator because the operation that it does is concatenation when it's used in the context of two strings. Now let's dive into division. So let's begin with a simple example. If I do P10 divided by 5, and the forward slash is used as the division operator in Ruby. So I'm going to do 10 forward slash 5. Predictably, we're going to get a result of 2 right here. That makes sense. However, we're going to see something interesting when we do a slightly more complex example. Let's say I do 12 divided by 5. 5 doesn't go evenly into 12, and the actual result of this operation should be 2.4. But here's what happens when I execute. We can see right here that 2 shows up instead of 2.4. So what's going on here? Well, whenever Ruby divides an integer by another integer, it always wants to return an integer back to you as the final result. So what it's basically doing is chopping off that decimal component, that thing after the dot, and just giving you the integer results. So 12 divided by 5 is going to give you 2, much like 13 divided by 5 is also going to give you 2. We can see it right here. And that can be problematic. This is just called integer division. What we can do to solve this problem, and let me just remove this last example, is to make either one or both of the numbers a floating point number or a decimal number. So instead of doing 12 divided by 5, I can do P 12.0 divided by 5. And we can see to the right that 2.4 will show up. That is the proper answer. So what we've done here is simply convert one of these integers to a floating point number by adding that 0.0 decimal component, and that has allowed that division to operate properly. What we can also do is the alternative, which is just do P12 divided by 5.0. That's going to give us the exact same result. 2.4 is visible right here. And of course, our third option is simply to turn both of them into floating points. So I can do P12.0 divided by 5.0, and that's going to give us the exact same result, 2.4. All right, at this point, I'm going to clear my output currently in my basic arithmetic Ruby file, and I'll proceed onwards with exponents and the modulo symbol. All right, so exponents can be thought of as applying a mathematical operation that says to the power of. So this may be a little bit of a refresher if it's been a while since you've been in algebra, but saying something like 2 to the power of 4 means taking 2 and multiplying it by itself 4 times. So if I do something like 2 to the power of 4, that basically means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So just to show you what this result is with the default multiplication syntax of the asterisk, we can see that's equal to 16. Now, the symbol or the operator to do exponents in Ruby is the double asterisk. So if I do P2 asterisk asterisk 4, that means 2 to the power of 4. So that's going to give us 16 on the right. If I change this to 5, that's going to give us 32. That's 2 to the power of 5, or 2 multiplied by itself 5 times. Similarly, if I do something like 3 to the power of 2, that's going to give me 9. That's 3 times 3. 3 to the power of 3 is 3 times 3 times 3, which is going to give me 27 right here. So that is exponents. In addition to exponents, we also have a slightly unique symbol or slightly unique operator called the modulo symbol or the modulo operator. And what that does is return the remainder of a division operation. So for example, if I do P5 modulo 2, and the modulo symbol in Ruby is the percentage sign, which you can access by pressing Shift 5 on your keyboard. So if I do P modulo 2, you can think about this way. An operation like 5 divided by 2 is going to give us 2.5 in regular division. What the modulus operation is going to do is give us the remainder. So 2 goes into 5 2 times. That's equal to 4. And then after that, we have a remainder of 1. So when I execute this, you'll see that we're going to get a modulo return of 1 here. 2 goes into 5 twice, and then the remaining number that's left off is 1, the remainder. So if I do something that is evenly divisible, for example, 6 modulo 2, 2 goes evenly into 6, so there's not going to be any remainder, so this result is going to be 0. Just to give you a little bit more reinforcement, if I have something like P13 modulo 4, 4 goes into 12 evenly and gives us a remainder of 1 to get to 13. So here we see 1 appear here. If I change this number to 14, 4 still goes into 12 3 times, and then the remainder now is going to be 2. So here we're going to get 2 on the right. If I change this to 15, 4 still goes into 12 3 times, and the remainder is 3. So we're going to get 3 right here. And finally, if I change 15 to 16, now that number is evenly divisible by 4, so the modulo is going to give me 0 because there is no remainder left. So the modulo simply returns the remainder of a division operation. Now let's conclude this lesson with one more caveat about division that I forgot to mention earlier. I'm just going to clear my output right here. So far we did simple division like 12 by 5. We saw that Ruby returned simply the integer result. We did regular division like 10 divided by 5. We can see the same result. Now here's an important thing to remember. If you have a number that's less than 0, like 0.5 or 0.5 as some people might say, it does require that 0 written in front of the decimal. So if I do something like P0.5 divided by 2, you're going to run into an error. I can show you right now. We're going to get this red error message right here. No digit floating literal anymore. Put 0 before dot. Well, thank you for that wonderful documentation. So all I have to do to fix this, of course, is to place a 0 before the 0.5, and now Ruby can perform the calculation, and you can see that that's equal to 0.25. So whenever you're dealing with numbers that are between 0 and 1, or something like a floating point like that, or even something negative, a number between -1 and 0, just remember to put the 0 in front of that. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So for example, if I did a -0.75, that would work. As soon as I remove the 0, I'm going to run into an error. So just remember to include a 0 in front of any number that's between that range. But this is a quick introduction to some of the arithmetic operations that are available in Ruby. We'll practice a lot of these ideas as we start building more complex programs. But in this lesson, we explored addition, subtraction, multiplication, concatenation with the plus operator, division of both integers and floating point numbers, exponents, meaning to the power of, the modulo symbol, and division with numbers less than 1 and greater than -1. So quite a lot that we covered in here, but hopefully the logic makes sense, and all that you really need to take time to practice with is just these symbols that Ruby uses to perform these operations. And again, those symbols are called operators because they operate on the numbers that are given on either side of them. So that's an introduction to arithmetic in Ruby.